Hello everybody. It's my pleasure to be part of this faculty development program organized by V.M.K College of Arts and Science, Hungund, Karnataka. I am Dr. Jayakumar, Assistant Professor working in the Department of Psychology, Periyar University, Salem, Tamil Nadu. It gives me immense pleasure to take a session on the topic teaching post-Covid-19, psychosocial challenges and opportunities. Okay, so let me start with a small story. There was a camel and its baby. The mother camel was resting under the tree, and the baby camel was going around meeting all other animals and coming back. And suddenly it understands that there is something very different and peculiar about its nature, the body nature. And it goes to its mother and asks certain questions like, Mama, that we have actually certain features in our body which is very different from other animals, like the hump we are having, which are no other animal is having, and the nostrils is there and it is covered, and we have a hoof or the toe which is actually flat and wide. And why we are actually having this difference when compared to other animals? Then mother actually patiently listens and says that yes, we have these things which help us to do certain things which others don't do. For example, that we are supposed to be walking in the desert sand for miles together without actually stopping anywhere. So we require water, and we store lots of water under the hump. So that is the reason why we are having the hump, and we can go without water for days together and weeks together, which other animals can't do that. And we have a flap in our nostrils to cover it, because when we are traveling in the desert sand, there can be sandstorms, and it will come with lots of sand particles, and if it enters the nose, then we might die. So that is the reason that we are having flap to cover the nostrils, and it keeps our body temperature normal. And we have actually the hoof or the toe, which is flat and wide, which helps us to stand on the sand, because otherwise we will sink into the sand. And since we are traveling for, we are supposed to be traveling for a long distance, and this helps us to stand on the sand and keep walking. Then suddenly struck back. Then this little camel was thinking. Then it is actually asking a question that uh, not expected by its mother. It asks then, if we are actually supposed to be traveling in the desert, and we have all the skills, all the features that is supposed to be helping us to travel in the sand or in the desert, then why are we here in the zoo? So what are we doing here in the zoo? And this kind of a question that is actually given by the baby camel makes the mother camel think, and it is totally clueless, and it feels helpless, because being a zoo camel, its features or its ability or its skill is of no use. So similarly, teachers are also feeling the kind of situation that mother camel was facing. We call that as a fish out of water. So all the things that we know is not actually relevant now, post-COVID or during COVID. Most of the teachers have understood that it is not going to be the same anymore. Yes, coming to this education part, what is education? So simply said, that it is a knowledge transfer from the teacher to the student. And going by the elaborate explanation, we can say that education is the teaching learning process of transforming knowledge, skills, values, habits, beliefs, and tradition to the next generation. It maximizes human potential to embark on the endless search for truth. It is a journey that transcends human being to being human. So these are the reasons why we are actually having education, unlike other creatures in the world. And it is actually supposed to be moving us towards civilization. Civilization is that part of the life, or that part of the concept where people are enlightened. They are actually close to the nature, close to the truth, and that is possible only in human beings. And in the whole process of delivering the knowledge from one end to the another end, from one generation to the next generation. We had seen many models, or we have heard about many models. So some of the prominent models which I have actually sketched out in the PowerPoint in front of you is that the Gurukulam model of education, Macaulay education, holistic education, flipped classroom education, online education. So here what happens is that the knowledge is the key. Whether you are actually going to be the teacher there, or a guru there, or a student there, or a disciple there, knowledge holds the key. So in the Gurukulam education model, where the guru is supposed to be holding the knowledge, the ultimate knowledge, and it actually this knowledge is delivered to the disciples of his choice. So he can actually choose which one to be his, which one of the student can be his student or disciple, and he can be very selective in delivering the knowledge. And some of the disciples or some of the students may not even actually get the kind of education that the other co-disciples might be getting. So that way, this is one of the models where the guru is everything. The focus is on the guru, and whatever that he does is right. And next comes the Macaulay education, which was brought to India. And this education is very similar to the present day classroom teaching, where the teacher is supposed to be having the knowledge, and he actually delivers that knowledge to the whole bunch of students in a structured classroom. And here there is actually not much of discrimination or division among the students, but still the teacher holds the key, because he is actually the person who has the knowledge, and the students lack the knowledge, and they are here to learn. So Macaulay education was another model which was actually tested in the early 19th century, and still now actually we have different opinions about that. Then comes the holistic education model, which has its long root in the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Education, what is the purpose of education? Should the education mold the students, like actually we are molding the things that we are actually making, or actually the statues, or actually the things that we are making for ourselves? Are we supposed to be molding? Education is supposed to be molding, or education is supposed to be facilitating the child to evolve and to become what he or she wanted to become. So to answer this question, holistic education came into being, and which was started to be implemented across the globe from the second part of the 20th century, in 1970s, and after that. And we know that many of the schools and colleges, still now we actually hold on to the tag that we follow holistic education policy or holistic education model. And some of the outcome of this holistic education model is the Montessori model. Then we have a Krishnamurti model and Waldorf's model of teaching. So all these things are actually helping the students to bloom, then actually mold them according to the wishes of the teacher or the curriculum. So that way holistic education was there. And why was there? It is actually still there. And came the flipped classroom education. So in the flipped classroom education, what happens is, it is also similar to that holistic education, where the prominence is on the student. Like a holistic education, the center is the student. Unlike Macaulay model or actually the Gurukulam model, the holistic education shifted the limelight towards the student. The student becomes central, even though he is a receiver of knowledge, but he is actually more important. That's what holistic education taught, unlike the earlier two models. And flipped classroom models went ahead, like preparing the student first, and he has to come and meet the teacher to get things clarified. So that is what actually, like, they will be given all the study materials, they will be given all the assignments, they will be given all the things that they have to be learning. They have to learn by themselves, or through whatever means that they can, and they have to come and clarify their doubts. That's the reason why it is called as flipped classroom education. And now we have actually come to another model of, before COVID itself, we have actually come to this model. It is called as online education. We would have actually heard about this MOOCs, massive online open courses, massive online open courses or MOOCs, or so there are actually different platforms which is actually giving the education or giving the knowledge to the people. So unlike the four models, this online education model is very different, because the first two models had the teachers as actually the center of attraction, and the second two models had the students as the center of attraction. But in the online education model, neither the teacher nor the student becomes important here. What becomes important is the knowledge, because knowledge is there in the computer, knowledge is there in the internet. So what happens is the teachers connect and the students connect, and there is no preset qualification for the teachers to become teachers. Anybody who knows anything can actually log on to the computer and actually deliver that knowledge, and anybody without the age limit or without the language or whatever it is, that whoever wants to actually learn, they can go and connect to the internet and they can actually learn. So there is no that structure which was actually pronounced earlier in the education system. So we are supposed to be knowing, because how the shift has actually totally come over, changed, and it has come to this level, online education. And all the four models that we were actually talking about has one thing in common, that there is actually a personal connect between the teacher and the student, which is actually missing in the online education, because we may not know, we might be seeing them, we might be talking them over the internet, but we may not know who the person really is, or who are the people that they really are. So that is actually the biggest challenge that we have to understand. So coming back to this traditional classroom, that we know that teachers are trained to teach in a particular way in a structured classroom. And we have actually a content-based education in most of the schools, or almost all of the schools. And we have a curriculum, or actually the syllabus, and we see to it that this syllabus is actually delivered, the content is delivered to the students, and students actually learn that to move to the next level of education. And this concept was actually developed by Horace Mann in 1837 in America, which was followed by all the states in America, and later it was actually followed across the globe. And this is actually very similar to what actually Macaulay actually followed this. And the world follows this mostly. That is the beauty of this, because there is actually no better alternative than this. So till now we are actually we are trained as teachers in this Horace Mann's model of classroom teaching, and we have actually the necessary knowledge to teach the students. We know we have the skill to manage the classroom, and we have the identity, or we have the ability to actually live our life as teachers. Now it is actually it is there for change. So in this model, the traditional classroom model started by Horace Mann, there are actually benefits, like psychosocial benefits for the students, right? So the most important aspect in psychology is the ABC model, which we called as affect, behavior, and cognition. So these three are catered, these three needs are catered to the child, and the child actually evolves. The whole personality evolves around these three concepts. So emotions are actually shaped in the classroom model. Then behavior or actually habits are also learned and actually shaped in the classrooms. And the way we think, how we should be thinking, all these things are actually shaped in the classroom model. And not necessarily that we are actually learning from the teacher. We are actually learning all these things from the classmates also, from other people also, because we are actually into the society, into the school. And the school actually teaches us not only the knowledge, but it teaches more than that. That is actually the best thing in the traditional classroom, and we don't have any other alternative which is actually aptly substituting that. And coming to this slide, we all know that so many things actually happens in the class. It bubbles. Okay, so many interactions, so many activities actually happens in the classroom. Like we enjoy sometimes we have the fun and fear, happiness, sadness. We can actually keep on adding all these things. We have actually role plays, mutual respect, affection, communication skills, emotional intelligence, how to set goals and work towards it. We have actually behavioral issues, which is actually dealt by the teachers and other people, and discipline and time management. And we form the identity in comparison with others, because our identity is shaped by others, because others are the mirrors of what the quality or character that we are having or we are actually shaping. Then we have actually a lot of issues coming with the peer pressure. Then sometimes actually negativities like failure or actually depression and other things also come up in that. Socializing and friendship building, understanding yourself and your gender. Then the list is endless. We so many things, because what we are today is mostly shaped by what we have actually been in the classrooms. So what do actually teachers do in the classroom? We all know that I told that we have actually the knowledge to teach and the skill to manage the class, and we have the ability to live our life as teachers. But if you actually unpack that, we have so many things that is actually happening. They are not just teachers are not just teaching the subject and correcting papers. It is actually more than that. Personally understand each and every student. We know that students by name and their character, and what are the good things that we have to encourage, and what are the things that we has to be discouraged. We know that. Identify and the emotional behavioral learning problems. So we are actually able to, the teacher is able to identify the emotional behavioral or learning problem of the student. And most of the cases that the teachers become role models and inspire students. So can help the students to grow as responsible adults with the personal mentoring and counseling. So these are the things that we do, and can inculcate respect and values and sow the seeds of purpose in life. So that way what happens is that the teacher is all in all shaping the individual as well as the classroom's character as such. It is not just the knowledge transfer that is happening, it is a character transfer that is happening. So that is actually a very important thing. And similarly, if you expect some dynamics that is happening in the class, if you are expecting the same kind of dynamics that is happening in the class, in the online classroom, we might be actually disappointed, because as a teacher who has actually sat in the classrooms and actually delivered the content might be entirely different from how it is actually dealt in the online classrooms. So we have actually lots of online classrooms, new platforms like Google Classroom, then other things are there. Okay, Moodle, etc. So almost all things mentioned earlier are to be missed. We are going to seriously miss, and students are also seriously missing the classroom and the teacher. There is no doubt about it, because basically we are social animals. We sort of actually what is it? Love to learn with people. We love to be with people and learn, and that is one thing which is taken away by this online type of classing. And there is no doubt about it that there cannot be any substitute to real. On what is it, real classroom teaching. So when you see that online classes, computers connect the teachers with the students, but it does not engage them. This is actually one thing that is very, very crucial, which you can actually engage the students' knowledge. That is the maximum that you can actually do. You can engage the students' knowledge, but student is not just the knowledge alone. He is actually an emotional being. He or she is actually a social being, and he is full of life. That is one thing the online classes will find it very difficult to engage with. It's not real. What you're seeing is not real, because it is only the images, but it's not real. It's real. The person-to-person experiences is missed, which is vital to human experiences, because we cannot actually live a life with computers. We have to live our life with people, and that is more important, which online teaching may not be able to offer. The teachers post-COVID, coming back to the role of teachers, that are teachers. Who is a teacher? A teacher is a person who inspires the student. A teacher is a person who actually facilitates the student to seek the truth. And so the teacher is a person who elevates the student to see farther than what he can actually see. That has actually taken a big hit. Teachers are actually reduced to transmitters of knowledge. And transmitters of knowledge in the sense that when any machine can actually transmit the knowledge. We say that, okay, the collection of information is the knowledge, and the collection of knowledge is wisdom. So that is actually not going to happen. That is not going to happen. We might be actually collecting lots of information, and it might actually be considered to be a knowledge, but wisdom is actually something which is something which is going to come very, very long time, and it happens only when we interact with people and how they see them, or how ourselves deal with the problems in the environment. So subject knowledge, teaching skills, and psychological attitude towards education is bound to change. So everything is changing, and it has changed. That is the reason why we are having online faculty development program. So online faculty development program means faculty can be considered as knowledge. So faculty is actually the school of knowledge. So that can be actually developed, but as individuals, so what is that we are actually going to learn? So what got you here may not take you there. That's what actually Marshall Goldsmith, the person who wrote great books on marketing, he actually said that the skills that got you here, the set of knowledge or the skill or the attitude that got you here may not take you there. So it actually applies to teachers right now, like any other professions, because so far we have been teachers standing in front of the students, bunch of students, and actually delivering the lecture, seminar, or actually managing the classroom and helping students to find themselves. But sitting in front of the computer and delivering that, not knowing who is actually going to listen to you, who's listening to you, and what is actually the mentality of the student who is sitting on the other side, whether they are listening or not getting actually the feedback from the students. It is going to be very difficult. It is like the teacher is taken off his or her tools. So without the sword in the battleground. So how to deal with change? So the change is actually real, and it is going to be here for some time, and many may not know whether it will actually continue throughout henceforth. So that is the kind of situation we are in. So teaching and learning is not going to be the same. We have to understand that. And the students better, to understand the students better within the technology. So how to actually do that? So first thing is that we have to understand and acknowledge, yes, we are actually left in a very different playground, and we are supposed to be actually doing our role, but we have to actually use different methodologies. So we have this Neil Fleming, who actually is known for his work model of actually learning style and teaching strategies. So he actually comes and actually says that students can be divided into 4 groups, that is visual group, auditory group, reading and writing, and kinesthetic group. So we all actually take in the information in different ways. So some people who are actually visually bound, they actually love to see pictures, diagrams, symbols, color, and something happening like that. And auditory are the people who are very good in listening. They love to actually listen to the teachers' lectures. They actually love to be part of group discussions, and they actually chat. They constantly chat. They are auditory people. They want to hear. The prominence of sensation is ears. Then reading, writing people are the people who can actually read a lot and write a lot. So they are actually taking the information or knowledge through the manuals, reports, assignments, essays, etc. And kinesthetic learners are the people who immerse themselves in experiences, and they learn through that. And even if it is real experiences or simulated experiences, they get the thrill of it because they have to actually get the feel of it. So sharing experiences and practices real or simulated videos, movies, case studies, etc. can be used. So coming to this part of this work, we have to actually really think that, so are we actually catering to only one aspect of the student? Are we actually, what is it, catering to one group of students? So in a classroom, all these students are actually spread across. We may not know who's actually a psychologist, or actually people who are assessing the students' ability will be in a better position to understand, okay, he is a visual learner, auditory learner, reader, or a writer, or actually kinesthetic learner. So in this thing, it might be challenging for teachers to actually cater through only this mode. So one way of doing this will be to, as it is actually written there in the board, that is actually in the PPT, that we have to actually come up with something which will cater to all the group of learners. So whatever that has been actually said has to be implemented to everybody. So that means because there might be actually people who might be visual and auditory also, auditory and actually kinesthetic also, whichever, that people are all actually different. Individually, they are all different, and they might actually fall into the 4 categories. And obviously, that we have to actually develop the content in such a way that it caters to all these set of learners. And it is going to be very challenging, easily said. It is not that easy. And coming to this, the game has not changed, but the rules have. Yes, the teaching learning game has not changed, but how we are actually going to do, the methodology through which that we are going to use have changed. And it has changed so different that it is going to be very difficult for us to unlearn and learn, because having been in the profession for 5 or 6 years minimum, then it is to unlearn and relearn is going to be difficult, but it is possible. So, and people who are actually much elder, like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years or something like that, so it is going to be even more difficult, but it's not impossible. So how to actually play the game, which is actually having a different set of rules. So unlearning the learned and relearning the technology. Now it's not actually limiting ourselves to learn only the subject content or the knowledge, but we have to actually learn the technology in order to be delivering what we are actually wanting to deliver. And we cannot actually be like as similar as we are in the real-time classrooms, but we are actually in a virtual classroom. So we have limitations. Technology has limited limitations, and but still we have something better than nothing. So knowledge about the online etiquette is very important. How to actually begin, how to actually continue, and how to end the classrooms. That is very important that we have to learn. And what are the backgrounds that we have to actually have, or actually what are the things that we have to avoid in our background, and what are the things that we have to talk, what are the things that we are not supposed to be talking, and avoiding the bawling. And all these things has to be taken into consideration. That is what we call this online etiquette. So coming to this, understand that teaching is reaching their home. And very, very interestingly, that we are not limiting our teaching, because even our children who are taking online classes, that it is not only they are listening to that, their own siblings are actually listening. Sometimes parents are also listening. So the same way it happens that when you are teaching to the child sitting at home through the online methodology or online mode, or using WhatsApp or actually Zoom or actually Google Meet or WebEx or any of the models, platforms, that they are actually, they are listening, and along with them their family members are also listening. So we have to be more more professional in the way that we are uh, delivering the education. Then students' attention ranges between 10 to 20 minutes, and it is psychologically proven that the maximum that we can actually go is 40 minutes, and within the 40 minutes, 2-3 times actually the child might get distracted, and he or she might come back. And we have to keep the class online class so interesting with so many things, so that they are sitting through our programs. So that is going to be another challenge which we might learn out of experiences, because that cannot be a substitute for experiences. So start doing, then we might actually learn that, and try to engage them, understand that stick is not equivalent to a magic wand. Our presence in the classroom in front of students is the magic wand. We can do magic in front of the students. But sitting at home or sitting in the office and connecting to the students through the internet, it is like having a stick. So a stick cannot be equated with that of magic wand. So stick has its limitations, but with that, what maximum that we can actually do, that is one thing that we have to try. So we have to try to engage them by calling them, addressing them by names, and actually connecting, trying to, because the human aspect is very important in teaching learning. So call the student by name and engage them, try to actually listen to them. And that is one thing that might keep the classroom, online classroom energetic, and to try to add as much value as possible in the virtual classroom. So lots of activities, lots of exercises can be given to the students so that it becomes much engaging and interesting to the students. So, but we all have to start something somewhere, and unless we acknowledge that there is a need to change, it is very difficult to change. So coming to this, that Mary Curie, she actually said that nothing is in life is to be feared; it is only to be understood. So no need for us to get feared. We say that nothing has to be scared, feared. Only it has to be understood. If we understand the situation, if we understand the technology, if we understand the limitations of the technology, if we understand that there is no other alternative right now better than the technology, we might be able to change. We might be able to deliver what minimum that we can actually do in the best way that is actually possible. So hope you have actually learned something. So thank you so much, and all the best to all of you for listening to this. Thank you.